2. Hello. Check. What's up, folks? Hello. How's it going? Looking healthy. Thank you for saying that. I still don't feel particularly healthy. I think maybe better. I don't know. I don't even know anymore.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Lamport, thank you for the 5 months of Prime. Thank you. Thank you, Lamport. Yeah, it got to the point yesterday where I was planning on streaming. It was getting to be like 12:30 or so, close to 1, and I was just like so tired. And it got to be like 1 o'clock, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to go lie down in my bed rather than do the stream. How about that? How about I go lie down in my bed instead of doing the stream? And that's what I did. And it was actually frustrating because I wanted to sleep, and I did sleep for about 20 to 25 minutes, and I was just so congested that I woke myself up because I was like, because I do that now when I sleep because I'm old and overweight and I'm sick on top of it, on top of those other factors. Nobody wants to work anymore. It's true. Not even me. Even my fake job where I just talk into this microphone, I don't even want to do that. Agreed on the healthy looks. More like heart throb, Russo. Oh my. There we go. That's good. Thank a weed worker today. Braver than any troop. That's right. And what a day to do it. What a day to say thank you to our wonderful weed workers. Including, was I seeing community member Moss? Is Moss a weed worker as well? That's interesting. You gotta respect the troops, our bravest troops. There we go, Moss. Nice. You ever hooked me up with some kind of a Twitch host discount? Something? I was actually going to avoid using any marijuana today, precisely because I'm still congested and like hurt. It's like, you have this stupid problem when it's like your lungs hurt and you're congested and you're like, ugh. So I was actually going to try to avoid that today. If you ever come to Washington State, sure, hell yeah, sounds good. Sign me up. So I was going to avoid that today, but then I was like, you know what? It's April 20th. It's 420, aka the weed number. And it would be a damn shame if I didn't celebrate that by having a little puff of weed. You know what? I'm a bit of a weed addict myself. I've been doing it like 25 years now, but I can stop anytime. It's not addictive. It's not habit forming, like it says in Walk Hard. I can stop anytime I want to. That's the whole thing with me and weed, is that I just don't want to. I have stopped before. Sometimes I don't want to. Sometimes I do stop for a little while. Ultimately, though, I just like to do it. I just enjoy doing it. I only need it to sleep. You know what I enjoy? In the morning, at a certain time, the sun streams through my office window. It's very bright and sunny in my office at a certain time. And I like to have my little puff of my vape pen and go and see it get caught in the sunbeams in my office while I start my workday. You know what? I enjoy that. It's not even the brain feelings. It's not even like the sensations. It's literally just seeing the sun rays coming into my office. Welcome the day. A sun-kissed Rob Puff. That's right. I just like it. I don't know. The aesthetic is nice. It's something that I look forward to and I wake up. It's nice to sit down at my desk with my coffee and maybe some kind of a pastry or Danish or snack or fruit or whatever, and have a little puff of my weed pen, go, or at night. I maybe to sit down with a little video game and playing the video game going, it's just very enjoyable. I like it. It's something that I look forward to every day. But lately I've been trying to avoid it because I don't feel well, but maybe while watching your favorite rocket blow up. That's right. Maybe I like to have a puff and dissociate on Twitter for hours at a time. Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not unhealthy to do that. I do this every Sunday morning. I always think about how the sunlight came 94 million miles to get caught in vape cloud. That's nice. Yeah, that's a nice thought to have. I would like, because honestly, for me, even though I will admit that I do enjoy the brain feelings that I get from it, I would like to get a CBD pen as well. So I could maybe because sometimes you don't want to get super blazed. There's times that you just want to, it's just this that you want to do. Sometimes I just want to do that. The light hitting your vape cloud left the sun 8.5 minutes ago. Wonderful. But Brian's not sold. Brian is not sold. It's enjoyable. I really do enjoy that. The last few times I smoked a spliff, I just felt like I was wasting time and felt compelled to work. I can't seem to chill on the stuff anymore. I think there's definitely been times that I've thought to myself, you know what? I got a bunch of stuff to do. I'm going to avoid it today. I'm not going to have to get high. I'm not going to smoke anything. I'm going to just stay sober and concentrate on the work that I have to do. Lo and behold, I still don't do the shit. So I think it's me that's the problem, It's not when it comes to that kind of stuff. When it comes to executive function. When it comes to executive function, I think it's me that's the problem. It's not the weed. In fact, I think probably the weed just maybe alleviates some of the bad brain symptoms that I have. It doesn't actually alter or change my ability to get focus on tasks or things like that. I think regardless of what I'm doing, that's something I have a problem with. I do have ADHD. I have untreated, unmedicated ADHD. And probably more. I need to get a whole mental checkup. I've since the 2.5 years I've been doing this show, I probably talked about this many times and still have not done it. I got OCD. I got ADHD. Sometimes I think I might be autistic. I'm not sure. I think it was one time our friend of the stream, Marina, I was describing some little habit that I have, and Marina was like, no, you're stimming. You're stimming. You're on the autism spectrum. And it's kind of and you have those moments where you're all of a sudden a bunch of your behavior kind of starts to slide into place. And it's maybe that makes sense. I don't know. You don't have to be autistic to stim. I have other things, though, that I think maybe you're a part of that. It's an ADHD thing. I get very obsessive about things. I developed these like obsessions, you know, with lots of stuff, with projects, with art, with music. I get really hyper fixated on certain things and hyper obsessed with them for weeks at a time. And then it's just like, I just drop it. I don't know. I got all kinds of weird kind of social issues and anxiety. Who knows? Who knows? I have music playing in my head all the time. All the time. Like maybe if I'm really focusing on something else, then no, but like at all times there's music playing in my head. It's actually one of my stim things that I'm often playing drums. I play drums like in my mouth, like on my teeth, in my fingertips, in my toes. Because usually I'm playing along to a drum beat of whatever's playing in my head at that moment. Are you obsessed with organization and symmetry? Not really. I'm pretty disorganized. But sometimes, Brian, I don't know if anyone can relate to this. If you're ever having like an uncomfortable conversation, or if you're doing something that makes you like feel like crawling out of your skin, I'll start to like look around the room and see these like patterns emerging everywhere on the walls and like with the paint and like shadows, and all of a sudden you just start to see all kinds of weird shit, and you start to pay attention to these shapes and things like that. Does that make sense to anybody? Is that just me? You know what I mean? Not seeing stuff that isn't there though, Brian. Like that's not what I mean, but it's like if you just see like an angle between the way furniture is placed or something, or you see like right in front of me now there's like a blind with like the patch, I don't know, how do you call that, kind of woven, and you start seeing like the patterns in it and tracing little lines, like seeing like little lines appearing on the, tracing them along the patterns. I also see music as well. Not like see visually, but in your mind's eye. Like if I hear a chord, I can see the chord shape, or you can see the like notes going up and down or things like that. I don't know. Sometimes you like, it's weird to like go through life sometimes and just like assume your own personal experience is like normal, right? And then you talk to other people and they're like, no, I don't have music playing in my head at all the time. No, I don't. And you're like, I see. No, I don't look around and see these patterns emerging from the way that the furniture is placed. Or like the pattern on your curtains and starting tracing lines around the patterns on the curtains. No, I do not.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Nin hao, zhang wian ri kuela, da ja chin chin, beer mugs.
Thank you, Fart Party 69. Thank you for the 14 months of Tier 1. From one of our valued community members, Fart Party 69. I always knew I was abnormal, but didn't realize until the autism criteria got so broad as to be almost meaningless. I've had it both ways. I found out that I don't see things the way others do, but I also found out that other people do things I thought were weird. I'm kind of having that right now, this moment. I looked around at my friends and was like, oh, we're all ND. What's ND? Oh, neurodivergent, yeah. Oh, I'm definitely neurodivergent. Yeah. ND's nuts, more like, yeah. Who knows? Who knows, folks? I don't know. Hell yeah, Eric. Hello. Strike. We're supporting striking workers today. And talking about our neurodivergent tendencies. I did see Elon's rocket launch. If I was designing the rockets, I would simply have them not explode. I'm built different, obviously. Respect to all the other engineers and the people that are working on that, but I like rockets that don't turn into giant balls of flame upon launching. It seems to be one of the most important things. I don't know a lot about rocket engineering. I'm not a rocket scientist by any stretch. My basic understanding, though, is that you want those to stay together. Ideally. That's my understanding. I'm supporting PSAC workers by not being done my taxes. Yeah, same. I actually have to go on Sunday to take care of that. Excuse me. It's called spontaneous disassembly. There we go. Sort of a prerequisite for interplanetary travel. Yeah, absolutely. If you want to colonize another planet, generally you want the rocket to, take off and then end up landing somewhere intact. Ideally. The fire's supposed to be at the bottom only. Thank you. It's interesting to me that instead of reaching its destination, it blew up. Chin chin, everybody. So, we are going to talk, I want to watch this launch and we can talk about that. We can talk a little bit about that strike, but I think as we did a couple months ago with the QP strike, I think what I enjoy or what I think is really useful.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Rocket ship go boom.
Marina, thank you very much for 18 months of Tier 1. Thank you so much, Marina. I was just talking about you a moment ago. I was talking about how a few months ago I was describing a sort of weird tendency that I have, and you told me that I was stimming. And that's when I started asking myself questions about whether I'm autistic or not. I was watching the Challenger on TV when it exploded. Oh, wow, that's exciting. That must have been traumatizing. But what I think is we're going to talk about the PSAC strike, but, excuse me, what I think is really interesting and what I think I can contribute to this conversation, outside of just saying that that we're supporting the strike, obviously, but talking about the way that the media talks about the strike. That I thought was very interesting and insightful to talk about during the QP strike a few months ago. So that's kind of what I would like to do. We can talk about PSAC and talk about why we need to support the workers and take a look at some of the footage from the picket lines. But what I'm interested in is taking a look at how our media is framing this, as they always frame any strike, and talk about the ways that our media is covering it. And what can we learn from that? That's what I think is sort of valuable about what we could do here. Giving out the autism diagnoses at the friendship compound. It is helpful. Because I was talking about how I have this like gap between my teeth. It's like I want to do this like kind of crooked. And there's this little gap. And I obsessively like make this little clicking sound using the little gap in my teeth, and I go. And when I'm not paying attention, I do it like really obsessively, like sometimes to the point that like it hurts. Like afterwards, my tongue is all messed up, like because I'm like obsessively doing this sound. I don't even like realize that I'm doing it. I get focused on something, then I like come to, and I'm just going, just like just obsessively like clicking my tongue against this like space behind my teeth there. Totally normal thing to do. Helps to process all the stuff, yeah. I'm constantly inflicting physical pain on myself unconsciously. Is that a common thing? A compulsive gum chewer. Okay. You mean gum like chewing gum, or like your actual gums? Maybe I need to be doing that. I don't know. It's to the point that it actually like people notice. They're like, "What are you doing? What is that? What is that sound?" My partner's like, "What is that sound?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I wasn't even thinking about it." And you can't stop doing something that you're not even like aware that you're doing. I'm always clenching muscles, and I only realize it when something starts hurting. I don't have that problem, I don't think. I know some people are like jaw clenchers as well. The stuff causes tension and pain. Stimming releases some of the tension. Okay. I had a college friend who would do that, but with a very realistic bird whistle he could do. Oh, I'm clenching that jaw. We got some jaw clenchers. What I didn't fully understand... What I didn't fully understand until the strike started is that there's a partial back-to-work legislation built into every strike. A certain portion of us get deemed essential and are made to go into work despite being a PSAC member. Sounded super fishy to me, but the union is apparently in agreement with this practice. Yeah, that's interesting. Also click my wrists. I only realize it when folks stare at me. I mean, I'm a knuckle cracker as well. That's another big thing. And I crack my wrists as well sometimes. I don't think they have any juice right now. We do to the beat. Well, that's the thing. Sometimes I'm like clicking my teeth. I'm clicking my teeth to the beat. But not like hard, not hard enough that it's hurting me. I might have to go blow my nose. I'm so tired of being sick. I'm obviously a little bit better, but I'm really, really tired of being sick. I'll add that to the list of possible symptoms. I constantly tense up my jaw, which is great given my spine nerve injury. One day I'll go get myself tested. Kind of scared because I'm 41. A lot of the damage is done in terms of internalized self-loathing. I mean, for me, it's more just out of curiosity at this point. I don't really have much intention of like changing anything, but I'm just more interested, or just interested in finding out some of this stuff. If you're American, you get the added benefit of medications being intentionally throttled so you can't consistently get them. I mean, clearly it's not as bad here, but like prescription drugs are still like not part of our subsidized healthcare or national healthcare plan in Canada. They're not as expensive as in the United States, but still, like, if you don't have private insurance, are still significantly more expensive than they should be. Oh. How's the pharmacare system in Quebec? I mean, in my experience, not good. And he said, like, when I was prescribed ADHD medication, which I'm not taking right now, it was still very expensive. And I only was able to afford it because I was on private insurance. If I was not on private insurance, I wouldn't have been able to afford it. And it is getting worse and worse, yeah. Yeah, maybe there's a pharmacare system that I could be on. I don't know. I think I don't know much about it either, unfortunately. They're whittling down whatever universal care we have. Yeah, and I think, like, having that kind of, like, these kind of, like, policies still in Quebec, I think, are still very popular, even though Quebec's run by, like, a conservative government. But yeah, it is being whittled away everywhere. I would have really liked to take today off as well, honestly. I would have really liked to just, like, lie down. But we got some important stuff to talk about at the same time, so don't want to take too much time off here. I have this, like, it's like I'm still congested. I have this, like, pain, like, all up here. I don't know if it's still my sinus infection or whatever, but, like, when I bend over and I feel this, like, pressure coming from, like, up here below my eye going all the way down into, like, my tooth. I don't know what that's all about. I think it's, like, still in some kind of inflamed sinus thing. Ugh. Rough. Extremely rough. Yeah, pharmacare in Canada is trash, but our drug prices are not as insanely inflated as the US. Yeah, I think for some people it might not even matter. Like, even if it's not as inflated, which it isn't, obviously, but, like, it's still, if you're, a poor working class person and you're not on any kind of private system or pharmacare, then it is still prohibitively expensive, even if it's cheaper than America. Thank you for being here. It's my pleasure to be here. It's my pleasure to be here. I love coming on here and hanging out with you folks. Yeah, I'm just going to blow my nose. Maybe I do need to take some kind of, like, a medical, it's like a pill or something. I was about to say medical pill. Like, what is that? What's that all about? Just bear with me here. I'll put on, we can look at this magnificent rocket launch. And you know what? I think a damn news headline is gonna cover everything we need to get into today. Sudafed. Maybe I should have gotten a Sudafed. I've got some, like, generic cold medication thing. We promised you an exciting ending. Yes, they did. What's this? Just a medical pill. Just a little Dilar. Just a little Dilar. That's from Delilah's White Noise. Ugh. I loved the movie. The movie was pretty good. I enjoyed it, but it made me revisit the book. I read the book a couple weeks ago, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's very, very pertinent to a lot of things that are going on today as well. Even if the care itself is still technically universal, they're slowly privatizing the service. Example, in Manitoba, we used to have our blood and diagnostic services built into many doctors' offices, but a few years ago they relegated it to private clinics, the main being Dynacare. Now they're all the city in random strip malls. Oh, good. Good. Yeah, the movie just came out. It said Noah Baumbach did it with Adam Driver. It's pretty good. I enjoyed it, but I revisited the book, and obviously it's obviously a lot better. Let's see. Still got my blue check, by the way. Still got my blue check. They keep threatening to take it away. You know what? I think they're scared. I think Elon's scared of yours truly. He doesn't want any of this. He doesn't want any of this smoke. All these empty threats about this check mark. I was proud of this. First of all, this is like a really funny headline from the New York Times. SpaceX's Starship rocket launched, but fell short of its most ambitious goals when it exploded minutes into its flight. Yeah, I would say it fell a little bit short. I would say it fell a little tiny bit short of those goals. Absolutely. What he's really scared of is the friendship triangle. Thank you. Yes. It fell slightly short of its goals, you know? Like, I went to shoot hoops at the local park, and I fell slightly short of my goal of being signed as a walk-on for the Toronto Raptors professional NBA basketball team. I just fell ever so slightly short of my goal of having Nick Nurse show up at the local park and be like, who's this guy? We got to bring him in. This like 40-year-old out of shape guy who can barely walk anymore. This guy sounds, I think this is the missing piece of the puzzle here. Lucid Fox started Rocket Man in the background, only for the strip to explode the moment that the riff hits just before the hook. Nice. Nice. Yeah, rapid unscheduled disassembly. That's great. I'm just saying, though, that if they did sign me to the Raptors, obviously, in terms of like scoring points, I'm not going to make a huge contribution. I would be a great veteran locker room presence, though. I would have a calming effect in the locker room, I think. I think they should give me a look, frankly. I think they should give me a look. And if I get left open in the corner, I can knock down a couple of jumpers. Look how physically non-intimidating I am. They're going to leave me standing out there. I could get open for good 3 or 4 threes a game and make at least one of them. And a calming locker room presence. I was happy with this meme here that I did. And I think it's going to be a long, long time. The Ukrainian armed forces are currently undergoing a rapid unscheduled disassembly. Yeah. They've fallen slightly short of their goals of, not losing the Crimea and those Eastern republics. Now, eventually you do plan to make rockets that don't explode in your rocket company, right? Hello? I really hate that man. Being old doesn't make you a veteran. You just be a really old rookie. Well, that's true. That is true. That's very true. How's your defense? Because that's the ticket in a position like that. Really not good. That's going to be... We're going to have to be honest with ourselves about that. I'm going to be a pylon out there. You're going to be... It's going to be 4-on-5 every moment that I'm out there. But, you know, think about what I bring to the table, though. That's the question. Anyway. So basically, sneak off the bench, hope they don't see you in the corner, launch a 3 and get subbed back out. That's right. Yeah. That's absolutely right. Hold on, I'm just going to go blow my nose. I'll be right back.
8, 7, 6.
Actually, I want to see this first.
Chamber pressure is nominal.
T-flight 33 seconds into the test flight of the inaugural Starship vehicle. Tower cleared, we're into pitch over. Propulsion reports first stage engines nominal. What a sight from the ground cameras at Starbase. We're flying at twice the thrust of the Saturn V heading to space.
Additional signal, surface proceed.
Am I going to get canceled for this? Am I going to get muted? Probably. Artie's gonna be mad at me for playing this game. Isn't it like, is this kind of fair use? Probably not, right? If I'm talking over it? It counts now.
Yeah, it does appear to be spinning, but I do want to remind everyone that everything after clearing the tower was icing on the cake. And there, as you saw, as we promised, an exciting end to the Starship inaugural.
Why are they clapping?
Test
That's not supposed to happen. We did it. As promised. I don't think they promised that. Correct me if I'm wrong. As promised, the rocket exploded. I don't believe that was the promise at all. Yeah, I saw this too, but like the rocket debris. You know what? It's actually like, it's sad being cynical about this. I used to be excited by this like space stuff, you know? But it's just become so depressing. Like, why is the state not doing this? Why has this been outsized to, or outsourced rather? Why has it been outsourced to this like fucking dumbass? Why can't the state at least do this kind of stuff? Like, I would like to make, like, when China does this stuff, I'm like, yeah, this is so cool.
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this
Benny, thank you.
individual, and I found this.
Thank you, Benny, for the raid. Hello, Benny. Welcome. Bring it in here. Welcome in, raiders. Thank you, Benny. I appreciate it. How's the stream today? You know, when China does this like space exploration stuff, it's like I'm the definition of that meme. Like, what is? I don't believe in that fucking bullshit. Versus so true. That's I'm literally that meme. When China does space exploration stuff, I'm like, and then when Elon does it, I'm like, I'm the definition of that meme.
You can count on me.
I would like to
You're
be
gonna have a good
excited
old
by this kind
Rob
of stuff.
to talk you through all this.
Gotta run, but I hope the stream goes well. Also, China is very pog.
Very poggies. We say this often. Thank you, Benny, for the 25 months tier 1. That's so long. That's so many months. I appreciate you, Benny. Thank you. Their moon-based design is a red star. I know, that's sick as hell. I'm literally one of those guys. You know, it's just, it's frustrating that like this whole idea of like exploring space, which is something that I used to be kind of fascinated with and interested in, you know, I was a big fan of like Carl Sagan and this whole process of discovery and exploration. Like there's something so magical about that. And it's just been like turned into this, it's cringe now. It's become cringe. It's become cringe and Reddit. Now, instead of being like exciting and hopeful and optimistic, it's just been outsourced to this fucking like loser. We're privatizing space. You know? It's weird. And I've had people like explain to me, no, it's good that SpaceX exists because it's not just Elon. And I don't doubt that there's like brilliant engineers and brilliant people working for SpaceX, as much as we can kind of like make fun of this, the rocket exploding, whatever. I don't doubt that there's very brilliant people that do work there. But why do we have to subcontract out to these like phony companies run by billionaires who are all government subsidized anyways? Like, why doesn't the state just do this? Why doesn't the government just do it themselves? Like they subsidize private individuals to do it. Why? You know, Elon is not a rocket scientist. He's not an engineer. What is he actually bringing to the table in this? Literally, like, what is he bringing to the table at all? Oh, he's pitching in on the rocket designs. Remember when people used to believe that? There was this kind of like Elon marketing campaign to make people think, oh yeah, he's this brilliant engineer and starship designer and rocket engineer and coder. He doesn't know how to do any of that shit. He does not know how to do any of that stuff. He's a guy that has a little bit of money and has a little bit of skill creating hype around like new technologies that don't exist. That's what he brings to the table. If a private entity didn't profit from it, did it really even happen? Or the same with like, you know, building electric cars. Like, what is he? Is he an auto engineer? Is he an auto engineer or a designer? You know, what does he actually? What would you say you do here? You know, the Office Space thing. He looks so lame sitting in the control center, pretending he has anything to do with this. This is what I mean. It's like, again, I don't doubt that there's many brilliant people that work for SpaceX. I don't want to just shit on the brilliant engineers that are trying to design these things. I talk to the goddamn customers. He brings sinks. That's right. He's a carnival barker. Yes. You know, but why did like the government literally subsidizes all this stuff? They subsidize Tesla. They subsidize SpaceX. So why does he get the credit for anything? Why is he involved? Why is he involved in any of this stuff? It's so dumb. You know, I don't get it. The immediate spin on this was that the first stage went off okay, so the whole test was a success. Well, they cut to everyone like clapping and cheering. And the announcers are just like, as promised, an exciting ending. Like that was not promised. Is he the founder? I guess, but like what is he actually doing though? You know? It's not like he's taking his own money and putting it into this. He's getting money from the government to make this space company. He doesn't know how to do rocket engineering. He doesn't know how to do rocket science. He doesn't know how to do any of the stuff that you need to do to run a space company. He literally just gets like a fat stacks from the government, and they're like, here, create this private space company, and they're like, and we're gonna, you know, use that for the research that you're gonna do and everything like that. He claims to be the founder of PayPal, but joined after the tech was already built and just gave a bit of money, and the rest of the CEOs didn't like him, so they just kind of kicked him out. I dare you to watch a video on YouTube. No, I don't think I will. Yeah, we love our public-private partnerships, don't we? He's a late-stage Howard Hughes, but with memes and no engineering prowess. Yeah, I mean, at least Howard Hughes was, like, interesting and was, like, so he was, like, contributing to the design elements of these things, even if he was just, like, a crazy rich guy. Okay, I'll check it later, but I'm not going to sit around and look at the Everyday Astronaut video now, though. I might, anyways. Hughes was an actual designer. I really like that Scorsese film, The Aviator. I always think that's like a line of dialogue that I always think of. You know, that rattles around in my head is Leo DiCaprio as Howard Hughes going, way of the future. It's the way of the future. It's the way of the future. And he gets like hung up on these like sentences. It's the way of the future. It's the way of the future. Listen, boys. Sick. Okay, I said I was going to go blow my nose like a moment ago. Let me just like put up this tweet here. The way of the future. The way of the future. The way of the future. John C. Reilly, very versatile. Very true. What did I miss? I talked about all my different neurodivergent tendencies for a little while. We looked at the Elon rocket launch thing. And now there's this little post shared by Rob Sheridan here that I wanted to take a look at. We got a Twitter Blue subscriber in chat. The way of the future. The way of the future. See, it gets stuck in my head. I want to see when he's like looking at the plane. It's the way of the future.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Was that anonymous gifter? It was. Anonymous gifter. Thank you very much for the gifting of the tier 1 sub to Howard Hughes himself. It's the way of the future. It's the way of the future. I thought that was the one with the bad crash. Oh man, just right. This is the YouTube algorithm. You just watch this scene from the algorithm. Well, what do you want next? How about Philip Bailey and Phil Collins' Easy Lover Sega Genesis remix? It's this kind of AI. It's the way of the future. 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 Famously, that is the song that led to that gif of me playing drums. That's why it syncs up perfectly. It was to that very song, one of the greatest pop songs ever written. Anyway, okay, so let's look at this Rob Sheridan thing. This is from a Tumblr post. Take that for what you will, anonymous Tumblr post. Maybe this is just something that we want to believe is true. Maybe it is true. Who knows? But let's read it, though. It says, I was an intern at SpaceX years ago, back when it was a much smaller company after Elon got hair plugs, but before his cult of personality was in full swing. I have some insight to offer here. Back when I was at SpaceX, Elon was basically a child king. He was an important figurehead who provided the company with the money, power, and PR, but he didn't have the knowledge or, frankly, maturity to handle day-to-day decision-making, and everyone knew that. He was surrounded by people whose job it was, essentially, to manipulate him into making good decisions. That sounds kind of familiar. That sounds a little bit familiar. Turns out that's the exact same way that he runs a social media company as well. Maybe his rockets wouldn't explode if he was busy focusing on SpaceX rather than just dicking around on Twitter all day. There is a new Indiana Jones movie coming out, yes. Managing Elon was a huge part of the company culture. Even I, as a lowly intern, would hear people talking about it openly in meetings. People knew how to present ideas in a way that would resonate with them.
Rob to talk you through all this.
The rockets would explode more if he was involved.
That's true, Blueberry. Thank you for the 28 months tier 1. That's probably true, but listen, the Twitter is that's for us, okay? That's where we operate. I don't want him there. Give him some other make work thing to look at. I don't know. Why doesn't he just put the self-driving algo into the rocket? That's right. Why not? It works so well already. You might as well throw it in there as well. Yeah, because he hates the color yellow, demanded that they remove yellow safety lines in his factories. Who needs safety when precious little Elon doesn't want to see the color that he doesn't like? And it's true. A lot of people have had bosses like this. People knew how to present ideas in a way that would resonate with him. They knew how to creatively reinterpret or ignore his many insane demands. And they even knew how to stage manage parts of the physical office space that it would appeal to Elon. The funniest example of stage management I can remember is this dude on the IT security team. He had a script running in a terminal on one of his monitors that would output random garbage, Matrix style, so that it always looked like he was doing something important computer things to anyone who walked by his desk. Second funniest was all the people I saw playing WoW at their desks after 5 p.m. who did it in the office just to give the appearance that they were working late. People were willing to do that. I did see there's this one website that you can go to. There's this one website you can go to that just makes it look like Windows is rebooting or Windows is uploading, updating. There's like a website you can go to that just says Windows update. So if you ever want to just like leave your computer, you can just throw that on. And anyone that walks by is like, oh, updating. There's like an updating situation going on here. People were willing to do that at SpaceX because Elon was giving them the money and hype to get into outer space, a mission people cared deeply about. The company also grew with and around Elon. There were layers of management between individual employees and Elon, and those managers were experienced managers of Elon. Again, I cannot stress enough how much of the company culture was oriented around managing this one guy. Updatefaker.com, is that it? Okay, who is this guy? Get this guy out of here. I keep trying to ban this person. His shit's not working because Twitch is weird sometimes. Get this guy out of here. Franz, you're gone. You're out. You're done. You're finished. Finito. You're out of here. There's only room for one Franz around here, pal. That's right. Well, 2. Franz Schubert and the band Franz Ferdinand. Their first album, still very, very good. You know what? The second one, also good. My close friend is an Elon stan purely because he wants to go to space, and I've tried explaining to him, you would be the serf that would never see the space. You'd be shit-shoveling mole man, and he doesn't want to hear it. That's right. Gonna have to tell her tonight. You know the impressive thing about Franz Ferdinand is they had that huge hit song, Take Me Out, obviously, which is an excellent song. I remember it in the OC back in the day. It played on the OC and it was like, oh shit, look at this. Look at this new sound. And I like how it starts. It starts in that very modern at the time, that strokesy sound. And then it slows down and gets into that other beat and kind of goes off in this different direction. Awesome song. But when you write a really super popular song like that and you have that kind of almost one-hit wonder status, even though they weren't, they had a couple of other hit songs from that album. But the single from the next album, Do You Want To? I don't think it was as popular. It's a fucking great single, though. Great single. In the song Michael, he says something about stubble on stubble, and that's the first time I ever thought anything gay ever. Now I'm so gay. There we go. Wonderful. We love it. Awesome album. Anyway, let's continue reading this little story here. Twitter has neither of these things going for it. There's no company culture or internal structure around the problem of managing Elon Musk. And I think for the first time, we're seeing what happens when people actually take that man seriously and at face value. Worse, they're doing this little experiment after this man has had decades of success at companies that dedicate significant resources to protecting themselves from him. And he's too narcissistic to realize it. This post is long, so I'll leave you with my favorite Elon story. One day at work, I got an all-hands email telling me that it was Elon's birthday, and there was going to be a mandatory surprise party for him in the cafeteria. Presumably, Elon also got this email, but whatever. We all marched down into the cafeteria, dimmed the lights, and waited. Elon was led out by his secretary, who he hadn't fired yet, and made a big show of being fake surprised and touched that we were there. Then they wheeled out the cake. So I want you to imagine the biggest penis cake you've ever seen, like the king of novelty sex cakes, only it's frosted white and the balls have been frosted to look like fire and smoke. This was Elon's birthday rocket cake. Okay. So who knows if that's a real story or not? It might be totally made up. It does track, though, with the experience of a guy who's running these companies, whether it's a space company, an auto manufacturing company, or a social media company, despite not actually having the skills to like contribute in any meaningful way to these things. You know? That does kind of make sense because as we know, he's not a rocket engineer. He's not a car designer. He's not a coder. He doesn't know how any of this shit works. So it does sound exactly like the Twitter reports, for sure. It does sound exactly like that. I wonder if his parents were normal. Let me just take a quick Google. Yeah, just quickly look into that. He doesn't even have a legit degree from any of the colleges he went to. I mean, it's really the amazing thing, Johnny, about how he really convinced people for years that he was this like fucking genius. He's Tony Stark, remember? He's the Tony Stark, but real life. He's an inventor. He's an engineer. He's tinkering around with all this stuff. Not true. A C average dropout, not able to do any of this shit. Was in Iron Man 2. That's right. I mean, the launch of the MCU. I distinctly remember Robert Downey Jr. specifically like calling him out and being like, "Yeah, it's Tony Stark's like that guy." And apartheid, baby. You know what I think we better watch? I think you know what I'm going to put on, folks. I think you know.
Watch my friends die. The whole world, too. It's because of me. Wasn't ready. I didn't do all I could.
Yeah, the Star Trek thing as well is pretty
The end
grim.
of the path I started us on.
Hey, we're here.
Elon Musk built this in a cave with a bunch of scraps.
Where are we? It's just another spaceship. What the hell happened? I can't believe that thing's flying.
Rocket, take us about 100 meters away from the ship.
Okay.
Hey, Tony.
Bruce.
Where are we, upstate?
Buddy, you're in space.
Who's speaking?
Babbitt is correct and clearly the smartest among you.
Thor.
Good idea for an electric jet.
Who are you?
I think it's quite fundamental. I mean,
what?
It's just as fundamental in rocketry as it is in other forms of transport.
Yeah, we don't really need to start a conversation. Here's what I need.
I want an American cheeseburger.
If you've got a rocket that can be fully and rapidly reused, it's somewhere on the order of 100-fold cost reduction.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Can you help your brother out?
You know, you really shouldn't talk that way to your captain.
All right, just get over here, please. Cheeseburger first.
You can count on me and have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Generally, I consider it a success when whatever I'm doing explodes after a part of it doesn't work.
Thank you, James. Thank you for the 24 months. Oh boy, 24 months of Tier 1 from James. Congratulations to you, James, on the brand new, highly elite, highly exclusive TRRS Golden 24-month sub badge. Hell yeah. And yet generally, yeah, that's how you know that it's working. That's how you know that it's working when it explodes. It was an unplanned dismantling. It's the way of the future. I like this more accurate NBC headline. SpaceX Starship rocket explodes after failing to reach orbit. God, that Avengers video is so bad. I really think, I like to think about the person that made that video. Oh man, you know what I didn't realize? Which is that the YouTube account that made this video is called Elon Stark. Oh. It's their only 3 videos. They've done a couple fan trailers and that. I want to see more from this individual.
Breaking news, that live footage that we showed you of the SpaceX Starship taking off in Houston, well, that Starship has now exploded about 3 minutes into the launch itself. Here is some footage from just a few moments ago when the Starship itself, the world's largest and most powerful rocket, exploded in the air. Now, this was the second time that this launch was supposed to take place, second attempt itself. It was supposed to go off last week, but it was canceled, postponed due to a frozen valve. Now, just a few minutes ago, SpaceX, that company, of course, owned by Elon Musk, sending out a few tweets saying that as if this flight test was not exciting enough, Starship experienced a rapid unscheduled disassembly before stage separation. That's what they are calling it right now. That the flight itself was intended to actually take off, orbit the Earth, and then make a crash splash landing off the coast of Hawaii. Obviously, that's not happening right now. Now, just to be clear, this is an unmanned test, but if it was successful, what they are trying to do is one day send as many as 100 humans up at a time in this rocket up into space. So again, that has just cleared. It has exploded off the coast.
I'm going to go ahead and not volunteer for that one. I don't know. Imagine being one of those 100 people like in 5-10 years from now when they actually get around to throwing some people on there. You're going to have to count. That is where you can count me out. The classic hardcore song by Bane. Anyone get that reference? What an awesome album. I'm playing too much like music. I'm gonna get canceled. I'm gonna get muted. I just wanted to play the part where it says, "That is where you can count me out," because that's what I would say to being invited onto the rocket ship. What was that? It's Count Me Out by Bane. Legendary hardcore band Bane. I saw them at Hellfest 2K in Syracuse, New York, and it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. As soon as the first note played, it just absolute insanity just totally broke out. There was people running from backstage and walking into the audience on people's heads and stuff. It was wild. I'm glad that they chose to let those 100 people stay home for this one. That's good. I think that was a good call. It's the way of the future. I guess we should talk about this strike. We should talk about this PSAC strike before I get like we've. I don't know if we need to fixate too much more on this. I did want to look at stuff about what China's doing. You know what I mean? It's like I don't want to be cynical and about this like space exploration stuff. I used to find that very exciting. It's just there's something very depressing and fucking grotesque about the way that it's been kind of like outsourced to this like absolute con man, apartheid baby, you know? It's so depressing. You know, I would like to still be excited about this thing. I don't want to have to be like a bitter, cynical asshole about it. But that's why when I see this, I do get excited. So true. You notice how it's not exploding. The key difference is that it's not exploding this way. They have a scheduled disassembly for a later time. Yeah, the rocket launch in succession is hilarious. Yeah. That's great. It's one of the best Roman moments. Johnny, are you getting into Fortnite too? Shit. I'm starting to play Rocket League again. I played with Marty the other night. I'm getting a little bit addicted to Rocket League again. I've played twice now and awful at it. Well, you'll get better. He's stealing our spot in the team. This is bullshit. Are you scoring goals? In the casual, I was getting a couple goals. I'm still not all the way back to going in the competitive Rocket League. Mission accomplished. See, we don't have to always be bitter and cynical about this kind of stuff. You don't have to be bitter and cynical. It's the way of the future. We will not be playing competitive for some time, I think, but I don't care. It's fun and casual too. It is. And Marty, I was playing very bad and we were playing the other night. And I transitioned to doing the 3-on-3, and I was doing pretty good. I was getting some goals. I got a couple goals, couple MVPs. I'm getting back up to where I was at before. It'll still take me a while, but yeah, the mid-air stuff is still perplexing to me. It's the way of the future. It's the way of the future. We should talk about this strike. Let's do that now. I was very frustrated when my aerial goal didn't work out. That was very frustrating. Unless, okay, we're gonna watch one more space thing, and then we'll talk about PSAC.
China and Russia are two world powers involved in spaceflight, and they've decided to cooperate for lunar activities. On March 9, 2021, an autonomous lunar permanent research base was created by the collaboration of the China National Space Administration, CNSA,
pop-style
Russian
goals,
Space
oh my
Agency,
god.
Roscosmos. The two countries were able to do this using the Outer Space Treaty of 1967. The emphasis of the MOU is on scientific discovery and the use of lunar terrain. In this agreement, the International Lunar Research Station, ILRS, was described as a comprehensive scientific research base having enough capability for long-term autonomous operations, which will be built on the lunar surface or on the orbit of the moon, with operations involving lunar exploration and utilization, lunar-based observation, basic scientific experiments, and technical verification. There is so much to understand.
Late post. I was reading about it earlier, and it literally was founded in 2006 or so when he and the guy in charge of the CIA's investment venture company went to Russia to make a deal but came back with no cigar. For ever making one rocket, he would then get $280 million to start off with when that same CIA guy became NASA director. Very interesting. And that is not even including what Obama gave in 2011 or so they continue to do so. Also, the actual COO is a lady that worked at other defense contractors. So exactly what does Elon do? Oh yeah, he was the CIA bootlicker / economic hitman and bagman and gets all the narcissistic headlines and claims he takes a physics-based analysis to rocketry. My dad with a PhD in combustion engineering who works on the scramjet tech for the DoD as a professor is like, Elon is all make-believe. Like, it's pretty good work if you can get it, right? Just being a guy with no real like talent or skill or like scientific knowledge, and the government's just like, here's like $300 million to start a rocket ship company, right? That's kind of seems like an easy thing. As much as these billionaire guys are like, I hustle, I work hard. It seems like it's pretty easy to work hard when the government just comes by and says like, hey, here's $300 million. So you can make a fake space company, which then can do work for us. No redeemable traits or ideas. At least Werner von Braun knew how to make rockets. I mean, say what you will about the tenets of National Socialism, dude. At least it's an ethos. You have to work hard to convince the government to give you $300 million. Seriously. I don't even want 300 million. I would like 1 million. I would like $1 million to have a small independent media company. Can I have that? Apparently it's so easy to just get the government to just give you a bunch of money despite not having any abilities. I would like $1 million. And with that, I would make a fucking great little independent leftist media company. Why can't I do that? Or can I just be guaranteed food and housing? That would be nice as well. And then I can just do this show. Envy Adams, I think you'd probably want to check your math on that one. To the Canadian government. Interesting proposal, Rob. Can you please change all your worldviews? We can then give you 50,000. Exactly. I just have to become a guy like Evan Dyer, where I have no ideology. I believe in nothing. That's what Evan Dyer says. I believe in nothing. I have no ideology at all.
Understand about this MOU and what it means for the United States and the world at large. So watch this video until the end and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. China and Russia agreed to promote the International Lunar Research Station in a bid to get more international partners to support their joint lunar missions. They did this by broadcasting the South Pole environment.
I love that President Xi in the car clip that you always see. That's fantastic.
Survey mission. The Chang'e 7 of China and Russia's Lunar Research 1 Russian orbital spacecraft mission. It comes as no surprise that China and Russia have come together for the utilization and exploration of resources on the moon. The two countries, especially Russia, paid attention when the United States announced their Artemis Accords to create an international mechanism for lunar development, which was led by the US and its partner nations. Last year, the chief of Roscosmos regarded NASA efforts.
It's the way of the future. I'm glad that infected you as well, WizBiz.
The program as a departure of America from the principles of the corporation and mutual support.
What resources does the moon have besides cheese? It just reminds me of that SNL sketch with Will Ferrell when he's Harry Carey. Would you eat the moon if it was made of ribs? Uh-oh, we got breaking news here. Breaking news. Oh my. Oh my. Fuck this space station shit. Breaking news. Do you see that? You see that? It was there, and then it's gone. Did you stop paying for Twitter Blue? I have never paid for Twitter Blue. Yeah, he's watching the stream. Like, shut this guy down. Shut this guy down. Unbelievable. I worked hard for that blue check. I published like 5 different articles about pro wrestling in order to get that blue check mark. How dare you, Elon? I'm still not giving you your $5 or whatever it is. It's actually like $11. I'm going to pay $11 a month for the site that makes me depressed when I look at it. Rob loses his blue check live on air. Motherfucker. Now I'm one of the hoi polloi, like you, chat. Now I'm no different. I'm no different than one of you. I'm just an average, everyday, common piece of shit. Did you see that? We're back. We're back. We're so back. We're so back, folks. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back. That was a real life soy jack. Yeah, we got cat turd levels of responsiveness. He knew what was going to happen. He knew what was going to happen. He's like, you know what? Let's leave this guy alone. Control F5 will let you refresh without cache. Okay, here we go. You motherfucker. It's so over. It's so over. It's Jover, folks. $11 for an intermittent blue check, $22 for non-flickery. What you need to do to get it back is you go into your computer files and you delete system 32. Just go ahead and delete that. Is this guy messing with me? Is this guy fucking with me? What is this? Look at this. What the fuck's going on here? We're just gonna let's just do this for the rest of the stream. I know there's an important strike going on, but I think the strike, yeah, it's important. Whatever. I think we know what's really important though. The really important story we need to be following here. The really important story here. Yeah. Solidarity to PSAC, whatever. Okay. This is we got to stick with what's important. This is an important breaking news story here. Okay? It's the way of the future. Yeah, I got order 66. More like order 69. If you ask me. Well, this is it. It's really come to this. I'm actually gonna retweet my tweet about this because people found it funny when it was a couple weeks ago. My Terminator tweet. Don't mind me. No, don't mind me. I'm just going to retweet myself. I'm going to retweet myself with a live audience. Elon posted a statement regarding the rocket.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben, for the 100 friend coin. Who needs a blue check mark when I've got friends? When I've got friends like people in this community. I know now why Rib cries. Wake me up when he posts a statement regarding Rob's checkmark. Thank you. Let's focus on what's important here.
Hello. Yeah, hi. Thanks for coming. So yeah, today was not a very dank day. Yeah. Today was fail. But it's sad because we didn't only lose the rocket, yeah. We lost a friend. I lost a friend because because on board we actually had my favorite computer voice favorite AI generated voice. We made the rocket talk, and we made the voice Yoda, but at half speed. So it was like Yoda smoking weed. And so
This is real, by the way.
it was lost in the rocket. And that was my best friend. I'll always remember it. But we're going to move onward and upward. So, you know, next one's going to work. We're going to meme our way into the stars with your help. So, yeah, just looking forward to that. And RIP to my favorite Yoda. Thank you very much. Oh, also, there were 5 people who also died who were crew members. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
That's good. Oh, that's good. It's not... Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to what's important here, which is the absolute travesty. The absolute travesty of justice that's just happened right in front of our eyes. Right in front of our eyes. I've been persecuted. I've been censored.
Count on me.
I've been silenced.
Rob to talk you through all this.
Rip Elon's only friend.
Thank you, Weenus. Thank you for the 20 months of Prime. Weenus of lore. My sweet, sweet Weenus. I've been censored. I've been silenced. I've been cancelled. I've been cancelled by the woke mafia. First, they came for the people of blue check.
Count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
And I said nothing. That's you, chat. That's you. Thank you, Anonymous Gifter, for gifting us up to Stoned Yoda. Just annex the Czech Republic. That's pretty good, actually. That's pretty good. Been censored, silenced, cancelled, and now hit with the flu gun, but still he persists. That's right. This is definitely a very functional website. This is a very functional website. I keep getting that it comes back and it says I'm verified because it's notable in government news, entertainment, or another designated category, which is true. Which is absolutely true. Like me and like Obama. We're so back. But let's just do this for the rest of the day. How about that? How about instead of covering this important labor issue and this historic strike that's going on, I sit here and look at my own Twitter profile and we can look at the check disappearing and come back for the next hour and 6 minutes. How about that instead? All CSIS assets get blue checks. That's not correct because I'm not a CSIS asset. I'm not a CSIS asset. I'm not being paid or promoted by any intelligence agency. Not CSIS, not the FBI, not the CIA, not the FSB, not Mossad, not MI6. Nothing. I just want to sit here and just get mad when it goes away and then get excited when it comes back. I can just do this for the next foreseeable future. Not MLB, not MIB or Shield either, or MLB either. I'm not a member of any. I'm not being paid by Major League Baseball as well. We're so back. We're so back, folks. I added China State Media tag to my own stuff. Maybe one day I'll get the tag. I mean, as always, like I would be open to taking money from one of these places.
Seriously, wow.
Oh my. Oh my. Brian, aka Lennon Smesh. Thank you so much for the whopping, extremely generous 10 gifted subs. Thank you so much, Brian. That's really kind of you. Thank you. Holy Lord. I always love seeing that alert. I need to make a super rare, probably never seen.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob.
Higher sub alert. I really want to use that. It's over. It's so over. Thank you, Diego, for the 2 gifted subs as well. Thank you so much, Diego. Hey guys, I'm new here because I heard this streamer has a Twitter blue check and is trustworthy. Looking forward to getting to know you all. Exactly. I'm officially verified. I do have a purple check from Twitch. They're not going to take that away from me. I do want to make a sub alert though. So I really want to use that drop from Richard Gere. I wonder if Deng Xiaoping is watching right now. I think that would be really good for like a extremely rare higher sub gifting alert. It's the way of the future. It's the way of the future. The way of the future. The new Rob is actually whichever Rob shows up at the blue check now. Like someone could, and maybe there is a whole like, a small but dedicated community of people that don't like me. You never know. Maybe someone will. Maybe someone will have a verified Rob account in order to troll me. It's possible. I lead that community. We got a funny way of showing it. I want to point cash inwards VJ saying no over and over and over from that interview. It wasn't that, it was bye. It was bye, 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 bye. We're so back. We're so back. Okay. I don't have to do this. I don't have to continue doing this. I don't have to continue doing this to you. We need to put the NSYNC video in the background and replace the audio with VJ. Bye, bye, bye. That would be good, yeah. But it ain't no lie, baby. Bye, bye, bye. That's probably something that we should do. You're right. Okay. Let's look at this PSAC strike. So again, I wanted to look at there's a 17-minute CBC News piece on it. So I think that would be a good place to start. So PSAC is the Public Service Alliance of Canada. Represents nearly 230,000 workers in Canada. Where am I going here? Just another player in your game for two. What an awesome song. God damn. There's some very good songs in sync. What if the blue check? The rest of the community just wants me to sit there and monitor that all day. Well, I got to move on.
Welcome to the Public Service Alliance of Canada.
PSAC is working to achieve a compassionate and inclusive society free of racism, sexism, homophobia, and all of the forms of discrimination. Well, sounds like it's woke. It's some woke nonsense. So you can safely disregard this strike.
One of Canada's largest unions, representing and supporting over 170,000 workers across the country. From the most experienced to those who may not be familiar with the union. We do this by negotiating fair wages, benefits, and working conditions for you, and protecting these under law through collective agreements. We are a large union, but the foundation of everything we do is your local. That's what we call the group of union members in your workplace. There are PSAC locals in all kinds of workplaces across Canada. Government departments, museums, universities, airports.
Ms. Pelicans is on the picket line right now. Solidarity to our friend Ms. Pelicans.
We even represent workers in Canadian embassies around the world. Locals are supported by PSAC's component unions, PSAC headquarters in Ottawa, and regional offices located in 7 regions. So if you...
On the news yesterday, they went from interviewing the striking workers who said they worry about purchasing food and going homeless every day to some lady who lost her passport and needed it for a job in the States in 2 weeks. These issues are not measured in any way. You don't need to both sides. Every single thing. Well, I mean, it was the same thing a few months ago with the CUPE strike. I think it's really interesting, and this is what we're going to do for the rest of the day, is talk about the ways that our media is talking about this strike and the way that these issues are always framed. It's always this intense fixation, and we're going to see if this fits that same narrative, but there's always this intense fixation on the disruption in people's lives and talking to all the people whose lives are being disrupted by this strike and talking about how the workers are causing this disruption and making this connection in people's minds that it's the strike that's leading to these consequences for average people, and never putting 2 and 2 together and saying, like, so pay the workers more, pay what they're asking for. Housing crisis is out of control. Cost of living is out of control. There's inflation is out of control. Yeah, we need to pay workers more. That connection is never made. It's just like, look at these striking workers and all these people that are being affected by it. So we're going to see if, blame the bosses. If the strike is inconveniencing you, blame the bosses. So we're going to see how our non-state media, CBC, obviously covers this issue. Let's just watch the rest of this to get caught up on what the PSAC. I'm saying PSAC, but I don't know if that's the official way to talk about it. They're saying PSAC in this video. PSAC is kind of like fun to say, though.
In the terms of your contract, know that we've got you covered. Your local representatives, elected by you, are there to support you. And if they can't help you solve the problem, you can count on the expertise and resources of the PSAC and its component unions to help you.
Nonpartisan, definitely independent,
PSAC
and not
is
state-controlled
very active and
CBC.
devoted to the well-being and advancement of its members. Together, we have achieved some incredible gains on behalf of our members, like strong sick leave provisions, paid parental leave, equal pay, protections for workers with disabilities, and accommodation for family obligations. We also work hard to protect the public services that all Canadians depend on. But none of these accomplishments would be possible without the dedication of PSAC members. All of our officers are elected by and from the membership at national and regional conventions. From local representatives to our national leadership, they all started out as someone who wanted to find out more about our union, just like you. Learn more about your union and how to get involved by talking to one of your local representatives or get in touch with a PSAC office near you. They're all there for you.
Okay, so that's what the PSAC is, which is the official name, but as we're hearing from the chat, it is referred to as PSAC. So let's look at what CBC is saying about this strike and whether it fits that same pattern that we observed before in the QP strike.
What's the mood this morning, my friends? Yeah! The mood is that PSAC members are fired up and are ready to fight for the contract and the wages that they deserve.
There are more than 250 picket locations across the country. Most are right here in the capital on the federal government's doorstep. Elsewhere, public servants are set up outside government offices, passport centers, or even at border crossings. There are two main issues in these talks: money and the ability to work from home. Workers say they can't keep up with costs and they want more flexibility with telework. A lot of services are affected. Here are some of the main ways how. First, your income tax return could be delayed. You could also be delayed crossing the border.
So right away, here's how you're going to possibly be inconvenienced by this strike.
And by air. Your passport,
you can count on me. You're going to have
EI
good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Sienna Ray, thank you for the gifted sub. Very first gifted sub in the channel. Thank you, Sienna Ray. Very kind of you.
Could also be delayed, and if you're a veteran, your application for a new payment could be delayed. To hear the government side of negotiations, Mona Fortier is the president of the Treasury Board. Minister Fortier, I'd like to start, if I could, with the status.
Number one, let's hear from the
You're
bosses.
Still talking. How would you describe the tone of the conversations between the government and the Public Service Alliance of Canada?
Well, good afternoon, David, and thank you for having me. Well, we're continuing conversations at the table and making sure that we're focusing on how we're going to best get to a deal.
But we're on strike, right? We have a strike happening right now in the country. So I wonder, is that a result of negotiations being intractable and a deal being very far out of reach, or is it because the clock ran down on the strike deadline that the union set?
They reached an impasse over a year ago, if I remember correctly. Like, this negotiation has been going on for a while now. There's been more ample opportunity to just pay the workers what they want.
The union set the clock, and it did start till last night. They announced they were going on strike, and the good news is that we're still at the table, and that's what I'm focusing on, finding those solutions to get to a competitive, of course, fair deal for wages and other benefits for workers, and then, of course, that are reasonable to Canadians.
Okay, you said at your news conference earlier today that the union needs to compromise. Does that mean your 9% wage increase offer is the final offer from government on salary? You're not willing to compromise on that any further?
What I'll say is that we have brought the offer to the recommendation that was provided by the Public Interest Commission at 9%, and we believe that is a fair offer.
Right, but does that mean that's your final offer? Because if your position now is that the union needs to compromise,
yeah, 9% doesn't even cover inflation.
Give a raise in excess of 9% over 3 years.
Well, I will say that's where negotiations are taking part, and of course, if I could share what's happening at the table, it would mean I'd be negotiating.
Really hard-hitting interview here, by the way.
And I will respect the conversations that are happening at the table.
Okay, but you also said today, Minister, that you don't want to give the union a blank check. They're not asking for a blank check. They're asking for 13.5% over 3 years. Why is that salary request too high?
So there are other non-monetary and monetary issues that they're bringing to the table. Wages are one thing, and that's why I'm saying it has to be reasonable for Canadians and making sure it's not a blank check that we're writing.
So the wage percentage is not the primary issue in terms of compensation and costs. It's other ancillary issues that are more of a concern for you. I mean, walk me through what that means.
So there are many issues. Wages, of course, is one of them, and there are many numbers that came out.
Start the light pushback after most viewers have changed the channel. And no, and also this is like a mainstream journalist trick too, where you ask what kind of sounds like a hard-hitting question, but something that the person you're interviewing has a talking point in hand ready to respond to, and then just drop it after that, which gives you a sense that you're like not just letting them off the hook, but like there's zero effort to like these are all just like canned talking points. There's zero effort to kind of like go back and forth or to poke at it a little bit more, zero effort. But you have this sort of this sort of small effort to appear somewhat adversarial. Yeah, just firming up his voice just a touch. That's right. And no union rep to call it out on the other side. It's a longer segment. Maybe, like, I'm sure they will talk to some of the workers, but let's continue the segment before we judge it. Let's continue the segment.
Out, as I said, and maybe I want to go back to the fact that we started negotiations a year ago, and PSAC walked out the table and then came back.
Walked out because you weren't giving them what they were asking
for.
for.
2 weeks, and we're continuing, of course. And this is where we're at this time for wages, which is a very important.
Will a Canadian Mick Lynch emerge? I mean, that's a nice idea. This is a frustrating thing about those CUPE strikes a few months ago was that it kind of seemed like that was happening. Those strikes were really inspirational. There was a lot of people that were behind them as well. And then they weirdly, like, after that one day, went back to work, and then all the momentum kind of evaporated. You know? I think this seems to be the lesson that we keep learning, is that people are aware on a certain level how much power workers wield when they withhold their labor, but it's like they don't want to go all the way with it. They just don't. They're unwilling or unable to really go all the way. And all the things that people talk about, the way people are inconvenienced and all these kind of things that gets talked about in the media. It seems like they're unwilling to really do what needs to be done to get their contract. And it seems like for CUPE, like all their momentum was gone. They had public support that kind of dried up. So we'll see if the same thing happens here.
Negotiations, but there are other issues that are, of course, being discussed, and those are going to have to get to some compromise and some approach where we get to a deal.
When Chris Aylward was on the show earlier this week, he said that they had compromised a little bit on their salary request. So has PSAC come down from the 4.5% a year over 3 years that they started with? As you moved up to 9, did they move down from 13.5, or are they holding at that upper level?
Again, with all due respect, David, I'd love to have that conversation with you, but I can't, as this is a negotiation at the table, and I cannot start negotiating in public.
Okay, well, I'm going to try again. I may get the same answer, but it's on a different topic, because I know that remote work is a significant issue in these talks. Are you willing to do a deal on remote work that puts the right to remote work into the collective agreement, or are you insisting on saying as a policy that management can control?
Telework is a management right. We've been looking at how
we do need a Canadian Mick Lynch that's going to just humiliate all these people. Absolutely.
Necessity from home during COVID to a hybrid model that gives the opportunity for
now the pandemic's over, so why would you need to work from home?
We also look at what's happening in other jurisdictions, the private sector, and we're offering.
There's no more pandemics, so what's the point?
To deliver services
right?
To Canadians, including hybrid work, and that is what we will continue
Mission
to
accomplished.
work on, making sure we deliver the best services to Canadians.
But if you're not opposed to the model and you're willing to offer it to the employees in the public sector, what's the downside from your perspective on putting it into the collective agreement as opposed to keeping it as a management right operating policy?
Again, my position, it's a management right. We're looking at how we can, of course, look at how telework can best be used, or hybrid work can best be used to deliver services to Canadians, looking at, as I said earlier, what other jurisdictions are doing and the private sector.
Oh man, the video volume is very low, sorry.
Look at how we will transform the future of work, and telework is part of it.
So do I interpret that you see it as a management right? So putting it into the collective agreement will be seen as a concession? You'd lose control of it?
The pandemic's over. Meanwhile, a new COVID variant that causes pink eye is now
spreading. Well, we can continue working, discussing this, of course. My important point right now
Getting
is
the
that
new variants builds character,
it's management right, as I said earlier, and we have to look at ways to make sure that it doesn't erode that management right.
Okay, so I'm not wrong. I'm trying to figure out how to define it correctly. You see it as a concession, giving it up as a management right? Yes?
Again, there are other ways maybe to look, and there are things being discussed at the table that I can't share at this time, but we do have two things that are common. First of all, we want public servants to be able to have the tools necessary, the capacity of delivering those services, and for Canadians to have best services, and we're putting that together to find the right path forward.
Okay, you talk about Canadians having best services, and we heard some pretty stark warnings from your cabinet colleagues today about what happens to some of those services the longer this strike goes on, in terms of passport backlogs, immigration backlogs, complications at the Canada Revenue Agency. How long are you willing to let this go before the government has to consider some sort of back-to-work legislation?
Well, first of all, as I said, the good news is we are at the table. That's what we're focusing our efforts on. Essential services have been defined prior to the deal with PSAC. As we know, the essential services like AI, veterans income supports, Canada Child Benefit will continue to be delivered. There are other services that are not deemed essential, whereas there will be disruptions. It won't be business as usual, but we are going to try to support Canadians as best as we can. And again, I have to say we respect workers' rights. Therefore, we're going to have to balance the fact that it will be not business as usual for now.
But you know, one of the issues
Well,
that
if
could be
you
affecting
respect workers' rights and you don't want the disruptions, one thing that you could do is just pay the union what they're asking for. How about that? You know, that's the main thing that you could do, and then there would be no strike anymore. Just give them what they're asking for. It's weird how that's never really an option that's on the table.
At the challenges that we've had with passport processing and passport applications over the last couple of years in this country, I can't imagine there's an enormous appetite for Canadians to see more trouble in that particular area. So, Minister, surely there is a tipping point where you have to look at some sort of legislative action if you can't
seen
get a
this? Heard about
settlement,
this?
is there not?
Well, right now I have to say, Minister Gould shared during the press conference this afternoon that we have been working very hard with passports, and for now, of course, they're not deemed essential, but if we can get back to the table, get to a deal, and have this strike be less long than it could be, it would be helpful so we could get back to delivering passports for Canadians. And we feel for Canadians, but we also have to respect workers' rights.
You just say get back to the table. I just want to make sure.
Sorry,
there's still talks are still happening.
Okay. The talks are happening. Yes.
Okay. So how optimistic are you right now that I know you can't get into the specific differences that exist on proposals and stuff. How optimistic are you right now that you can have a quick resolution to this, something that's just limits the strike to a day or a couple of days?
Well, I am convinced that we have all the ingredients to have the conversation that will lead to
You have the ingredients to have the conversation. Just pay them now.
And especially competitive.
That's
and
the main
fair
thing
for
that's going to
public
get people
servants.
back to work.
That's my focus, and I really encourage that we will get to a deal as soon as we can.
Okay, President of the Treasury Board, Mona Fortier, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for taking this time with me.
Okay, now for the other side of this negotiation.
Okay.
Chris Aylward is the National President of the Public Service Alliance of
We're going to
Canada.
get a
He's here in the
response.
studio.
That's
Mr. Aylward,
good.
good to see you again.
Let's see this guy.
I wonder
See
what's
if
your
he can
reaction to what Mona Fortier had to say there.
Fire us up a little bit
One
here.
of the things that I picked up on what the minister said was that, they're arguing that they don't want to put remote work in the collective agreement because it's a managerial right.
Managerial right. What
Pretty
the
much
fuck is
everything in
that?
the collective agreement is a managerial right. For example, hours of work, right? Managers have the right to tell you what hours you should work. That's in the collective agreement. If I'm told by my manager, you can't work the hours that you want or that you're seeking, I file a grievance. If the intention of the collective agreement has been applied, I'm not going to win my grievance. That's a managerial right as well. So I disagree with the minister that they can't put it in the collective agreement because it's a managerial right.
But they seem to be willing to give you a remote work arrangement, or your members remote work arrangements, but just not put it into the CBA. So is there a way to do this through side letters, through memorandums of understandings? Are there other ways around this impasse to get your members the flexibility they want, but bring the strike to an early conclusion?
Look, we're willing to look at anything, basically, to make sure that our members' rights are protected, though, and that's the thing. That's the issue for us. It's fine to say that they're prepared to give us something. If it's not in the collective agreement, what happens to that in 3 months, 6 months, a year from now? Those rights are gone. So again, that's why we're asking for it to be put in the collective agreement to make sure. Again, number one, everybody knows what the game rules are. Mm-hmm. It's applied fairly and consistently. and we have recourse rights.
You're on strike, so obviously...
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Dan Simpson raid. Thank you, Dan. Hello, Dan. Welcome in, Raiders. Hello. Welcome in, Raiders. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for the raid, Dan. I appreciate it. How was the stream today? Was it good? Was it average? I hope it was good. I appreciate the raid, Dan. Thank you. We are just talking to... we're just talking about this strike that's going on right now in Canada of PSAC, the Public Service Alliance of Canada. A lot of public sector workers going on strike right now. We're looking at the coverage of that here on non-state media, CBC here in Canada, and talking about how these strikes get covered in the media and, you know, what can be better. And, you know, for trying to follow this kind of conversation. Thanks again, Dan.
Hoped, but give me your sense of the tone of the talks right now. Like, it doesn't seem to me anyone's flipping tables and that talks are pointless. I mean,
they should
how
be
would you
flipping
describe
tables.
The situation internally and the possibility of getting to a deal quickly?
As the minister said, we are still at the table. We're going to continue to talk. You know, if there's a willingness on the employer side, we'll continue through this weekend. We'll stay there for as long as it takes to get to a deal, because that's our goal, is to get to a deal. We didn't want to start this strike at all. Our goal from June of 2021, going on 2 years, we've been in bargaining, almost 2 years.
And inflation
again,
and all
like,
these
we just
cost of living expenses have just increased in that time.
There was absolutely nothing happening. When we announced the strike votes in January,
it's more difficult now to find proper housing.
The talk started going. But I mean, as I said, we're still at the table. We're still talking. We're still trying to get to a deal that satisfies both sides.
So when you made the decision at 9 o'clock last night, or 9:15 when you had the press conference, was that because progress wasn't being made at all, or just because you'd hit that deadline and you didn't have the critical mass to get a tentative agreement? Was it the clock ran out rather than you weren't making progress?
No, I mean, we were making some progress, but we could see, like, we're just not close enough to a deal to say, okay, maybe we'll just stay at the table. And once we announced the deadline of 9 p.m. Last night, we stuck with it. We weren't going to change that.
I, in fact, did actually want to start this strike. I have less disposable income now as a 40-year-old bastard than I did in my mid-20s. Yeah, I mean, that's the unspoken thing about all these things, whether it's about QP or whether it's about PSAC or any of these striking workers. It's like there's an easy solution. There's an easy solution. These workers it's well within their rights to not only engage in collective bargaining and to strike if necessary, but it's like they're just asking to have a coinciding increase in pay that goes along with the massive increase in cost of living, which has gone up more and more over the last few years. You know, like the housing crisis in Canada is I think as bad as or worse than pretty much any other developed nation right now. Like, a lot of these are public sector workers. They're doing okay. You know, they're making between 40 to 60K per year. You know, that's not nothing. Obviously, that's a decent salary. But if housing is still totally unaffordable, like there's many city centers in Canada where that's not enough to actually pay for housing. You know? So yeah, we can just pay these workers. There's an easy solution. Just pay the workers.
That, you know, we put it out to the membership that you may be on strike Wednesday morning, depending on what this government chooses to do.
So on wages, we've seen the new number of 9% over 3 years from the government came out today. You had initially, your opening proposal, I believe, was 13.5, right? 4.5, 4.5, 4.5. Right. Have you come down a bit from that? Because the other day you suggested there's been some movement on your side, on their side. We've seen their movement. Have you moved down from your high number that you started with?
We have. There's been some compromise on both sides. But, you know, we still got some room to make up, and that's why we're staying at the table.
So it's not a 4.5% gap. It's slightly smaller than that. I'm guessing you won't tell me exactly how big that gap will be.
compromises have been made on both sides.
All right, so I wonder about this. You know, we saw the ministers out today, and they laid out the impact this is going to have on services. And there's about 40,000 essential workers who will keep doing important stuff. But a lot of key things like passports and immigration applications, those are going to start to pile up the longer this goes on. Given everything,
So
challenges in those departments over the past while, are you worried about public opinion turning against you and your members if this goes on too long?
Why would public opinion turn against the workers? Why wouldn't public opinion turn against the people that are not paying them enough? You know, and yet public opinion will turn against the workers if there's a nonstop barrage of news stories making the link in people's minds between striking workers and their being personally inconvenienced. That's how that works. But that depends on the media actually doing their fucking jobs and framing this in the way that it's supposed to, that it should be framed. That's the question. It's totally up to the media to control whether the workers are going to be blamed for these kinds of things. Public opinion doesn't matter. They don't pay me. Well, that's the thing. It's like, why would public opinion go against the striking workers? Why wouldn't it go against the people that are refusing to meet their demands, which are pretty reasonable?
We're asking the public to be patient. Yes, we're on strike. Yes, there will be slowdowns of program deliveries and that. We're asking the public to be patient. Workers are fed up. For the same period that we're in negotiations for, the inflation rate is 13.8%. Or 14.8%, sorry, or 13.8.
Yeah, there's a lot of numbers in negotiations.
There is, you're absolutely right. So, you know, again, we said we want to make sure that we're staying somewhat in line with the rate of inflation. Workers can't continue to have, you know, their wages repressed and repressed and repressed. And when the federal government, the largest employer in the country, represses its wages for its own employees, what in fact they're doing is repressing wages for workers right across the country, whether they're unionized, non-unionized, public sector, or private sector. And that has to stop. When workers in this country are sitting back and watching corporations make, you know, record profits, we're getting gouged every time we turn around, we're being gouged. But yet nobody wants to pay workers. No, just keep the wages down. We're asking the government to come to the table to set that bar for all workers in this country, so that no worker is actually left behind. Workers can't wait any longer to receive a decent and fair pay increase.
But, you know, there were questions asked today. You might have people getting ready to take that summer vacation, maybe the first one since the pandemic. They're waiting on their passports, or they need to get passports. They might not get them because of all of this if it goes on too long. I mean, what's your message to Canadians who may lose out on things while this is happening?
Well, in the issue of the passports, if somebody
that's the framing that we love.
Traveling next week and they need a passport,
that's the framing that we love. What's your message to Canadians who are not going to get their passports?
Emergency passport is still available, and they'll get their passport. If you're not traveling next week, again, we're just asking Canadians to be patient. We're at the table. We're trying to get to a deal. That's our goal here. But again, we want to make sure that this government understands that this is about working people in this country. And again, workers can't take another hit of a rollback, of a wage rollback, and that's what this government is basically asking.
The government doesn't want to touch the issue of back-to-work legislation. They've made that pretty clear. The New Democrats have said they wouldn't support it, and it seems based on your description of the nature of the talks and the government's description of the nature of the talks, that may not be necessary. Do you think the way things are right now in your discussions that this could be a short strike, a medium strike? I mean, what's your sense of how long this could go on for?
We're hoping for a short strike. As I said, we want to get to a deal. But again, we need to start making some progress
ask the lady
at the table on all of the issues. As
that's very true. You didn't ask the representative of the bosses. What are you going to say to Canadians about these inconveniences? It's only the workers that get asked these kinds of questions. If you're in need of a passport and a strike that will last like a week is a problem, that's a personal issue. Sort out your household. Yeah. I just had an interaction with an overprivileged Benz driving Karen who backed into my car, and I've come here for therapy. I'm sorry to hear that, dude. Control. I hope her car was more dinged up than yours.
There's other issues at the table that we've made very little progress on. We haven't seen any thing tabled by the employer. So again, we need to make progress. And the only way to do that, of course, is to stay at the table.
Sorry, has any progress been made since the strike started, or since you announced last night you were going to? Has there been any movement from management at all today?
There's been some. Again, we continue to talk. We continue to discuss the discussions, and we're hopeful that we're going to be able to get to a deal.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to be mean about this guy. I mean, he's a union leader, so he's doing more than I am, certainly. Seeing Mick Lynch, though, I think during all those moments in
Rob to talk you through all this.
Fart Party 69, thank you for gifting a sub to Dude Control. Thank you. It wasn't, but it's okay. The cops took my side because it's obviously your fault. The first dumbass words out of her mouth were, "You didn't see me?" And she backed into you. Wow, that's interesting. Classic. Seeing Mick Lynch, though, in the UK, I mean, it's like, I would love to see someone take that kind of an attitude, This kind of politeness and this civility that we have. I think it's like, it doesn't, putting up with the ways that the media frames these things. We talked about these kind of discrepancies, asking him about the impact on people's lives. I would like someone who's maybe a little bit more blunt, a little bit more willing to make these professional media class and journalists a little uncomfortable with this kind of framing. I would like to see something like that. Seeing anyone break kayfabe would be so amazing on Canadian TV. I mean, that's it. We're just so not used to seeing that. This should be interesting as well. Let's hear from an economist.
So what threat does this strike pose to the Canadian economy?
Well, it very much depends on how long
This is
it
CTV.
goes, and so if it's resolved relatively quickly, it'll have a very minor impact, if any, on the overall economy. But the federal employment is a big part of the Canadian economy generally, and so personnel spending of the federal government makes up about 2% of GDP on its own. Now, that's not the entirety of the folks that are striking. It's also going to include payments to the RCMP and the military. Those folks are still working. They're not on strike. It just goes to show that the federal government's personnel budget alone makes up a measurable part of Canadian GDP. About 2.5% of everybody employed is working for the federal government. And so it is a big part of employment as well across the country. But I think what's likely is that the economic impact will
Explain to me why I should care about GDP.
In particular regions where there's a lot of employment. And so certainly in the National Capital Region, particularly on the Gatineau side, where you've got a lot of folks working for the federal government in and around Ottawa, particularly in some of the more rural areas. In those areas, 10% of all the pay that goes to people, in those postal codes around Gatineau comes from the federal government. But it's not just in Ottawa and Gatineau. There's other places like Summerside PEI, for instance, or Miramichi, or Shawinigan or Cape Breton. In any of those cities, there are big, those are all areas where you've got a lot of federal government employees. And in all those areas, about 10% of all the pay that's going to people working in those areas is coming from the federal government. Of course, if people are striking, that pay is not going out to those workers. And so those workers aren't spending it in those communities.
Right. David, I know that these are early days. I mean, it's only day 2. But if we were to sort of put up a number of sorts, because the last time around we saw a strike by PSAC, it lasted about a week or so. So we're only on day 2. But if we were to put a number, how much do you think it's really costing the economy, roughly?
Well, day 2 of this strike, which we don't even know if it's going to go on for longer than a fucking week. And you're really digging for an answer on this from this professional economist. Tell me, let's guesstimate. Guesstimate something. I know it's only day 2. I know you don't know anything for sure. Guesstimate something. Let's talk. Give me something I can work with here about economic consequences and talk about the consequences to the GDP and the economy, please. And yeah, so I'm just looking to find the comment I wanted to respond to here. Praxit said, I can't afford rent or groceries, but I'm terribly concerned about the potential impact on GDP. That's right. And that's what I mean. It's like if if people are struggling to find housing or pay for groceries, even people that have decent salaries, that's a sign that like the economy is already in really rough shape. Like this is not an economy that we should be proud of, or we should be talking about how to get back to business as usual. Yeah, that'll be an interesting one as well. Would these rates make inflation worse? That's good as well. That'll be good as well. When you pay them more, it leads to more inflation. That's right. Yeah. The economy, aka the feelings of the ruling class. Definitely. Please speculate wildly about how much the worker strike is costing the economy and why the viewers should be on the side of the bosses. That's really what it is, right? That's really what he's saying.
Have to last for a while. So if it's only a week, I mean, there'll be no real impact on the economy. I mean, if it were to last 6 months, then it's absolutely possible that we'd start to be able to see these figures in the GDP account.
Amazing. In this hypothetical scenario, it would be a big disaster.
GDP over the course of a year, for instance. If we lost a third of that because people were off, because they were on strike over the course of a quarter or 2 quarters, you could see, a third of the loss. So that'd be, 0.6% of GDP. And so that doesn't seem like a big number, but in the grand scheme of things, when we've got relatively slow economic growth in 2023, in any event, or that's the prediction later on in the year, it is, this could be the difference between a recession or not a recession in a particular quarter if it lasts all the way through, say, 3 months or the entirety of a quarter.
All right, we leave it at that. David McDonald, senior economist at the Canadian Center for
I got you to
Policy
speculate on this
Alternatives.
totally hypothetical scenario.
Thanks for having me.
This should be good too. Political risk grows as PSAC strike continues. This is from CTV 19 hours ago. I think after this, I might call it for the day. I'm still kind of sick and tired. I took that sinus medication about 30 minutes ago, and I'm feeling a little bit loopy from that. So we'll look at this CTV hit, and we'll see what we got after that.
The Prime Minister facing opposition pressure in the House of Commons there as 1/3 of the public service walked off the job this morning. That's 155,000.
I'm still cyberpunking, but I haven't been playing as much. Like usually I play it at night, and I haven't really felt up to like playing and streaming at night lately. I have been playing a little Rocket League, but didn't want to stream it. But I am going to get back to Cyber Rob soon, though. I do want to get back to it. Maybe tonight. Maybe I might be back tonight for some Cyber Rob. We'll see. Robitussin stream. That's right. I'm going to start hallucinating soon, so could be dangerous.
And that, of course, disrupts many government services, everything from getting your tax returns to processing your passports. They're picketing right now at 250 different locations across the country.
It's perverse to worry about the health of an economy that literally requires... Oh, fuck, sorry, I got pushed off there. That literally requires homelessness and poverty to function. I mean, that's the thing. Like, what could this mean for the economy? What could this strike mean for the economy? Like, look around at all our major cities.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, GMO Radio, for the 2 gifted subs. Thank you for that, GMO Radio. I appreciate that. Let's think about what the effects are of the economy. Well, how could this affect GDP? What if it went on for 6? Let's say it's not going to go on for a week. Let's say it went on for 6 months. How would it affect the GDP? Like, look around. Look at every major city. Look at the massive tent encampments in every major city in this country right now. Like, the economy is bad. The economy is bad already. Why are we talking about workers trying to increase their pay in line with the massive increase in cost of living and housing? And wondering, might this affect the economy? The economy already is completely fucked. Look around. Open your fucking eyes and just look around. Our economy is completely fucked already. That's why they're striking. That's exactly why they're striking, because our economy is in this disastrous state. That's why. So why are we talking about the consequences of this strike when the strike is happening because of the already crisis level situation that we're having in our economy and our housing market right now at this very moment? It's not the strike equals bad economy. It's literally the inverse of that. It's the economy and the current economic climate and the state of our housing market and the state of our cost of living. That's why workers are striking, because they can't afford to live anymore with their salaries that they have. It's not complicated. Yeah, neither can I, fart party. Neither can I. But you see the way that's inverted, right? It's always flipped on its head, the way things should be discussed in our media versus where they are. You know, why is this strike? Why is these workers, these striking workers, how are they going to impact average Canadians? Whereas, like, why are we not talking about the bosses? How are the bosses' refusal to pay their employees what they're asking for? How does that affect average everyday folks? That connection doesn't made. How could this strike destabilize the economy and make it worse, versus why is this strike happening? Because our economy is already completely fucked. You know, it's always the inverse of the way things should be talked about.
Country. I want to bring in the front bench to dig into the potential political risk of a prolonged strike. That's a lot of P's with me this evening.
Now we're talking about the political risk.
Former senior advisor to the Liberal Ontario governments of Dalton McGuinty and Kathleen Wynne, Dan Moulton. He's now vice president with Crestview Strategy. Former Alberta MLA.
And that's a good point, Cool J, as well. The workers are average Canadians. They deliberately section off public employees as being a drain on the economy, for sure. And they've created this narrative as well where, like, oh, I'm sure this guy's going to be a reliable commentator on this. Just look at this fellow. You know, they create this division where people think public sector workers are all just like high on the hog, doing nothing and getting paid great benefits for it, great wages. We've completely like severed this idea that public sector workers are average people and are average workers. Alberta MLA, I'm sure he's very reasonable. That's right.
And Cabinet Minister Gary Marr. He's the president and CEO of the Canada West Foundation. Former communications director to Jagmeet Singh, Melanie Richer. She is now with Earnscliffe Strategies, and right next to her, CTV National News Ottawa bureau chief Joyce Napier. Hi, everybody. I think we didn't have a shot of Gary because there's something wrong with his camera, but he'll be with us momentarily. Dan, I wanted to start with you. Do you think anybody politically is wearing this, either the union or the government, yet? And does that risk calculation change the longer the strike goes on?
Well, certainly the longer the strike goes on, Vashti, you're absolutely right. The political risk is going to grow. As the Prime Minister said in the House today, it is just day one of this Labour action. It's a bit early to start deciding who's winning and losing the political battles of this. No doubt the opposition are going to be trying to extract as much as they can out of the conversation at the expense of the Liberals. And no doubt
what is this camera placement as well? Why is it looking into your kitchen?
They can to increase their leverage, increase pressure on the government. We saw some of those tactics at Bear today. I think the fundamental
I don't want to see your
thing
kitchen
that the
in the
government needs
background.
to keep repeating is the importance of Canadians receiving the services they expect from the federal government, and the importance of the union arriving at the table and negotiating in good faith with the government against the proposals that they're putting forward. The government today pointing out the fact that the union has not responded to a proposal that was put forth on Monday. And so hopefully we'll see both parties at the table coming to the settlement.
The strike is a Chinese op. Maybe we will get there.
To say what the political consequences are quite yet.
I think, Melanie, that's a fair point. And I also think, like, as Dan laid it out there, and throughout my interviews, like, I'm a little confused because the government has put forth an offer that the mediator determined was fair, but they waited months after that determination was made to put it forth. At the same time, the union is kind of resisting it and going on strike, even though it has also acknowledged that it was fair. So, like, I don't understand where the huge gulf is that exists that has.
It doesn't seem like you do understand.
Today. And I think a big
the mediator said it was fair
because it's now been 2 years that they're in negotiations without a contract. It has just kind of escalated to this point where we're now seeing the strike happen and seeing workers out striking. I would say that nobody really wants to strike. Nobody's doing this because it's fun. They really are asking for better wages, and they think that there's a path for them to get that. Hopefully there's a resolution that comes soon because like if you've mentioned and like our other panelists has mentioned, Canadians and the services that they rely on are in the balance of this, but it is a bit, I think, confusing for folks watching at home, which is too bad, because really the big goal out of this is the fight for better wages here is not just for these federal public service workers, but really having better wages for those workers will give better wages for workers across the country.
I think certainly, Joyce, that's what the union is trying to articulate, right? Hey, we're helping everybody out. The sort of political vulnerability I see for them is, and I sense from the government, they feel a little bit like public sentiment is on their side, because, and I said this to Chris Alward, I feel like most people out there would be like, 9% sounds good, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like anybody really is keeping up with, I understand making the argument to keep up with inflation, but nobody really is.
No, nobody is, and you know,
so why shouldn't they still ask for it?
Members, they're not negotiating for all Canadian
people.
Workers.
Other jobs aren't keeping up with inflation, so they should just shut up and be happy.
They're doing their job, and they're doing what they have to do. But another bone of contention is the capability or the capacity to now work remotely, and that is also a very big issue. And we heard Mona Fortier today, the minister, saying, "Look, we understand
get the
that
rest
has now
of real
become
wage.
A Canadian reality. It's very first world, but yes, okay, it's a Canadian reality. They want the right to be able to work from home when big portions of the economy cannot. Nurses, doctors, teachers, police people. You know, I can go on and on. Bus drivers. There's probably most workers out there who can't work from home. And I geeked out and I looked in StatsCan and I looked to see, you know, who are the people who are actually more likely to work from home? Are the more educated? This is Statistics Canada. Therefore, the higher paid civil servants can more likely work from home than the lower paid ones, who are janitors, security people,
separating the workers.
Because
it's all these higher paid
federal government. So that's a kind of an interesting thing.
Higher paid workers that are asking for this,
and enshrines in a collective agreement that the work from home becomes a right, and therefore the public sector will have to follow suit, and it will be even harder for them to find people to come into work rather than people who would like hybrid work from home. So it will change, really. This particular negotiation is really changing the way Canada works, actually. So it is a pretty important.
I think we are supposed to have some carbon goals. Yeah.
People, it will have consequences on the private sector as well.
Well, Dan, it's really reflective, I think, of a conversation that's happening outside of the public sector as well. And I sort of see two sides to it. I understand the desire for flexibility and the kind of need to offer it in order to attract the best talent. At the same time, I understand the federal government's point of view that you can't cede jurisdiction on decisions of that nature outside of the managerial role, right? The union seems to say, well, that's not exactly what we're looking for, but I think that's what the government thinks they are looking for.
Absolutely, Vashi, and Joyce put that all very elegantly in terms of the
you're interviewing a guy in his house
stake in this negotiation for all of Canadian society. Really, the union leadership is going to want to make this as much about pay and equitable pay as they possibly can. We saw it on the placards.
Can you believe that they want to make this about equitable pay?
It was mostly about cost of living and affordability and the pay that federal workers receive. The reality is the union will not accept a deal that doesn't enshrine their workers' right to work remotely, work wherever they choose.
It's not like there's a pandemic still going on or anything either. So
it's a problem for a variety of reasons, as you point out, ceding out control from managers.
Is there any other factors maybe that might encourage people to want to stay home?
It's also about sending a signal to all of Canadian society that you can work from wherever you want to. At the same time that the CEO of RBC and other Canadian industry leaders are saying, we need to deal with the productivity losses of the pandemic and working from home.
The productivity is down.
They're not working as hard, and they're not working the same number of hours. And so we need to get people back to the office.
They're not productive anymore.
Today, your colleagues in the studio
no one wants to work anymore.
If I could be. We want to see
the industry leaders are insistent on this,
in places where they're
and the banking people.
And I think the federal government needs to hold a firm line on this one today.
Yeah, no shit, buddy.
It is interesting though, because I feel
you were in
like
your kitchen right now, sir.
Melanie, don't think that way anymore, right? And it's such a competitive.
Yeah, you get a real job.
If we were not at full employment, it might be a different conversation. But now it's kind of like, to attract the best, you might have to offer some of that flexibility. Dan's right that a lot of big companies are saying, "Hey, we've lost some productivity. We don't need to do this anymore." But there are others. I sat beside a CEO of a bank a few months ago who was like, "No, I'm saying everyone can work from home. I work from home now." So it is a changing environment, as Joyce pointed out.
Totally. I actually disagree disagree a little bit with some of the things that were said just before. I don't think that it's
The
true
politeness,
that the
man.
union wouldn't accept a deal that didn't have this in there. I don't know that that's totally factual. Well, it's something that they're working on. I don't think if this component isn't in it, they're going to walk away.
It's not the red line for them?
I don't think so. That's not the signal that I've at least heard in my circles,
Okay.
and that's not what it seems to be that they're putting out there. And to your point, are there some organizations that have seen a loss of productivity? Sure, but we've also seen some who have had the opposite. We're seeing the inclusion of women in particular in the workforce. It's actually much better for them to be able to do it from home because they are able to, if they have kids at home, it's easier to take care of childcare. It's easier to do all of your stuff that you're trying to do at home and trying to do at work. The
Sort of.
work like sort of.
Sorry,
Not if you've got kids at home. Totally. But the chauffeuring people to daycare and then having to get to the office and then having to go get kids after.
Yeah, I see what you mean. The
that
convenience
makes it a little
aspect,
bit easier.
It's also men that do that kind of stuff
To say one size
as
fits
well,
all
but-
to coming in back into the office isn't actually true. And I think there are conversations to be had about there is. For some people, it is better for them, actually, to at least have a hybrid model.
I'm running out of time, and finally, Gary's camera is working, so I just want to make sure we get him in before we take a quick commercial break. Gary, we've been talking about the potential political consequences
Gary,
of
you
this
blew
strike.
it.
Your thoughts on that before we head to commercial?
You blew it, Gary.
Well, just a couple of things. One is, the union talks about having a $43 million strike fund. If you take $43 million divided by 155,000 workers and divide it by...
This dude works for Crestview Strategy. Here's the slogan on their main page. And I assume we were talking about Kitchen Guy from before. Cool J. We are dedicated thought leaders and change makers with a mandate to serve our clients in mobilizing public opinion. Yeah, fucking fake job ass motherfuckers. Which I can't help but notice he is doing from home right now. And mobilizing public opinion against striking workers in support of their bosses.
By $75 a day. Their strike
Yeah,
fund
Canadian
lasts about
McKinsey,
4
got
days.
it. Yeah.
And so I think that, politically, there is some advantage on the side of the government to be able to hold out longer than 4 days. And I must say that my observation of the public is that there's not much sympathy for PSAC members. Having said all of that, I think that PSAC could do themselves a huge favor for both their members
by taking
and
less
for
money.
the employer if they were to think about the kinds of competencies that are needed for the kinds of jobs that are represented in PSAC. And the nature of work is changing. Artificial intelligence is changing things. The digital
Watch out.
economy is changing things.
You're lucky to have
And
a job.
PSAC instead should be focused on saying, look, we need to work with our employer to become like HR experts and think about these competencies and upgrade the skills of people. This is what's happening in the private sector. It's happened in the oil and gas sector, in the manufacturing sector, in banking, and other sectors. And I think this would be a sort of an extraordinary move on the part of PSAC, but one that would be beneficial to their members and beneficial.
That's the end of that. Saying nothing at all. Yeah. Your skill wallets are looking very thin. Instead of focusing on like better pay, and being able to work from home and not spend your day you're commuting to an office job, which you can just as easily do at your home. Focus on upgrading that skill wallet so you don't get replaced by AI. I wonder why the CEO of Canada West Foundation would be against the strike. Here's their donation page featuring donations from the government of Alberta and the government of Canada Economic Development. What? Surely that would have been disclosed, though. Surely that would have been disclosed. Expander Energy, Government of Saskatchewan, Government of Manitoba, Shell Canada, Government of Alberta, the Essential Skills Initiative, Government of Canada. Interesting. Fascinating. It's weird that wasn't disclosed. That kind of potential conflict of interest. No unions donating to that? It doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it. Folks, I think I gotta go. I don't know. I'm kind of robo-tripping right now, honestly. I'm all hopped up on allergy medication. I gotta go in like 15 minutes to pick up my kid anyways. We're going on 3 hours here. It's my first stream coming back. I was sick yesterday. I feel like shit. I'm tired. Set up an AI to slub subs. I should. Well, eventually when I can replace myself with an AI Rob, then that would be ideal. So again, so number one, solidarity and support to our PSAC striking workers right now. An easy way to avoid all these economic consequences and all these inconveniences to people is to simply pay these workers what they're asking for. It's like that's the one thing that never really gets brought up. You know, when you have this hard-hitting interview, why don't you just pay the workers what they're asking for? Maybe I would like one of these folks to ask that kind of a question. It's the way of the future. VTuber Rob is the way of the future. It's the way of the future. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody. And again, I didn't even do a real pitch today, so I will just say before I have to go that if you think that our media establishment in Canada and elsewhere in the Western world is dog shit, and you like seeing this content on twitch.tv, and you like my pro-union, anti-imperialist perspective on this and other issues, please subscribe if you can to TRRS. It is $5 per month. It's completely free of charge with an Amazon Prime account. You can also gift subs or friend coin to rocket all the way up to the elite tier of the friendship triangle system. That's Twitch's only two-dimensional triangle-shaped trickle-down clout and friendship access tiered reward system. That's how you do it. Every little bit helps. The only way that this content stays on the air is through the boundless generosity of our wonderful community members. So if you can, please subscribe to the show and help keep this content on the air.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Ben, thank you for the gifted sub. Thank you for the gifted sub. Ben in PS. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I see one person that was allowed to keep the legacy blue check. Who's this? I don't even know who it is because I think I'm blocked by that account. I think I'm blocked by that account of whatever you're sharing, so. The clout, in fact, does trickle down. Brian can attest to this. Many people in this community can attest to this. The clout trickles down. It's the way of the future. It's the way of the future. It's the way of the future. Happy 420, everybody. That's good. Grimes. I'm taking the blue check, Grimes. I can't do the Elon accent either. Grimes. I'm taking their blue cheeks. I'm taking their blue cheeks. Grimes. I did see that as well. Marty. The Pope. Is this the real Pope? We don't know. We don't know. We just have no idea if it's the real Pope or not. There's no way of knowing. Looks for the blue smoke to confirm. What about the Dalai Lama? What about the Dalai Lama's blue check? Huh. You got to block those Twitter Blue subscribers. You got to block those Twitter. Look at those hucksters. Hey Pig Dalai Lama. Oh my goodness. That's great. That's fantastic. I'm sorry to look at the video of the Pope and that little kid. I really tried to avoid watching that because it's so fucking disturbing. What if you just start a new account and get the blue check mark as that one, then change your username? But why would I do that, though? Why would I do that? I'm not leaving. He's the one that sucks. But there doesn't seem to be a way to get it, though, unless you're a Twitter Blue subscriber. Then there's all these different checks, too. There's the gold check mark and all these different ones. It's so stupid. Yeah. Are we going to move to Blue Sky? The thing is, I'm not going to go somewhere else to another microblogging platform and try and rebuild up a 90,000 follower platform. I'm just not going to do it. Okay, they can ban me or whatever, and I'll just leave Twitter and I'll just come on here and I'll go on the Discord server. I'm not going to another microblogging service, though. You have any other takers? Any other generous chatters want to support the stream? You have just a few more moments. You have just a few more moments. This is bullshit. What is this? This is not true. This is an imposter. This is outrageous. Unbelievable.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Goth Engel Center, for the 27 months of Prime. Thank you. Let's do some cyber skill tree upgrades. I may be back tonight for some cyber, Rob. We'll see, okay? No, I was not banned. That's not me. No, that's not me. It's an imposter. And I can't raid. I gotta log out and log back in. I'm gonna say at least this website works. It clearly doesn't, though. It clearly does not. I'm still hawking MacBook Pros. I just logged in. Fuck. Good lord. Stupid website. None of these damn websites work anymore. I learned a lot the day that I lost my blue check. I learned that I was going to have to figure out how to be an average person once again. For the last 5 years, I've been special. I've been different. I've been part of the upper crust. I'm going back to being part of the hoi polloi. It's the way of the future. Trump lost the blue check, but DeSantis didn't. I see. I see. The cards are really going on the table now. We're going to see who's going to give the Elon Musk his $10 or whatever it is. Once again, a pleb, just like the rest of us. Just a huge piece of shit. Thanks, folks. Give my regards to our friend Hildebeest. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.